But sir, why is Kashmir always the center of conflict?
Incidentally, my father participated in that war, and he was.
This was the war zone in 1971, right? The facts that you mentioned, I have never even read them anywhere before. So, hello, sir. Welcome back to yet another amazing episode full of history of India, wars, and everything. And I have always loved talking to you and discussing a lot that has already happened and that is happening. So I was thinking of why not we should give a recap of what has been happening since 1947. So my question to you is, what was the first war like post-partition in 1947 to 48?
Janvi, firstly, hello and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
So strange as it is that you have started this podcast with the Kashmir War of 1947-48. Incidentally, my father participated in that war, and he was awarded a gallantry award also for his performance over there. So let us not cover this isolated as the 47-48 war. I'll briefly run over the tensions and atmosphere that India has had with Pakistan from the war and the military point of view. So why did that 47-48 war happen in the first place? At the time of partition, the last royalty to take sides, whether that kingdom wants to join up with India or with Pakistan, the last was Jammu and Kashmir, where Maharaja Hari Singh finally at the last moment said, I want to be part of India. So when that happened, Pakistan was not happy about it at all. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was very upset, and he decided to take the world by surprise, and without any notice to anybody, he sent in what they call the raiders to go and capture Kashmir. That time, British officers were commanding the Indian army as well as the Pakistan army. So the Pakistan army chief and the Indian army chief, both being British, were from the British army, were very well known to each other, and we do not know how much secrets were shared between these two chiefs, a lot apparently. And so it was like two forces of the same organization fighting each other. They had all been part of the British army till a few days back. And now suddenly you put somebody to start representing that country and then some to this country, and these two armies started fighting. They had very good gains in the beginning because the surprise was totally with them. They came up to Srinagar airport all the way from Pakistan side, and it is then that the first Indian army troops landed from other parts of India into the Srinagar airfield. First Sikh regiment was the first unit to be launched over there, and the first brigade was 161 Infantry Brigade, and first Sikh troops started now retaliating, again use the word retaliating, to the Pakistan raiders, and slowly started pushing them back, Baramulla, Uri and beyond, up to approximately where the LOC is now running. And similar kind of operations happened in the Ladakh area, where a famous battle where these Pakistani raiders were amazed to see Indian army tanks. The Pakistani raiders were amazed to see Indian army tanks at that high altitude in that treacherous hilly area. Perhaps for the first time in the history have tanks reached up to such an altitude, such a terror. That was an Indian army armored regiment called 7th Light Cavalry, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Rajinder Singh Sparrow, who was awarded. Incidentally, his two sons also joined the army and the armored corps and retired as lieutenant generals. The Indian troops finally came and pushed back the Pakistanis up to that particular time till there was UN intervention and the war was stopped.
But sir, why is Kashmir always the center of conflict?
Pakistan has not got over the thought that they did not get Kashmir right in the beginning. They were very, very keen to have Kashmir as part of Pakistan, and they felt humiliated, they felt small, and they have not recovered from the fact that they have not got Kashmir within their grasp. This is the basic reason, and this was the vision of Muhammad Ali Jinnah.
That since but they already have POK, which is considered to be really very beautiful. Still, they have their eyes on Kashmir, the Kashmir that India has. Is it because they really want it, or is it just out of the jealousy or out of the competitive thing they have had followed since years, ages, I would say? So why do they do this?
Perhaps a mixture of all what you have said just now. And for your information, POK is not as beautiful as the rest of Kashmir is.
Okay, it is said to be that it is really
POK is now not as developed as the rest of Kashmir is. India has developed it well. A lot of tourists over there. POK has got few spots, good spots, but not as friendly as this part of Kashmir is. And I guess yes, they had at one time they had reached Srinagar airport and they were beaten back. That is something they've not been able to swallow. And Kashmir is an issue with them. They want Kashmir. It's as simple as that. They want Kashmir.
Zid ban gayi hai ek.
Yes.
Why did the 1965 war happen despite ceasefire promises? Since we are talking about the pre-cap, so I really want to know this as well.
So this again is the lust for acquiring Kashmir. So raiders were sent across. Raiders sent across in such a way that it was called Operation Gibraltar, which was sent across to infuse and mingle with the local populace, to turn the local population against the government of India so that they could raise the issue from within Kashmir and get separate from the rest of India and merge with Pakistan. This was the aim behind the whole thing. It failed because, again, the Indian troops, the Indian population rallied around and managed to defeat these infiltrators who had come in. They tried to cut off the Jammu road to Srinagar. All these things were thwarted and defeated. This also has happened in 1965, which is now history, really speaking. It's been now how many, 50 years, perhaps more?
Yeah.
60 years. 60 years since it's happened, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have not got over it. Now, so after the 65 war, which Pakistan claims they won the war, India claims we won the war, whoever won, Pakistan's aim of taking away Kashmir through other means besides the conventional war failed. So from that point of view, Pakistan did not achieve their aim. Now Pakistan again lodged a war against us in 1971, and this war was a very decisive war. As you know, Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces dismembered Pakistan. They broke the country. Half the country was removed from their clutches altogether, and Bangladesh was created. During this war, more than 90,000, about 93,000 prisoners were taken. Unprecedented. The last time such a number, somewhere near this number was during the Second World War. From the Second World War till today, this number of prisoners have not been captured by any army, any armed forces except the Indian Armed Forces. It was a spectacular victory. Pakistan totally humiliated. Their commander, Lieutenant General Niazi, who at that time erstwhile East Pakistan, was captured. He has surrendered. And this is in spite of US help to them. Before the US 7th Fleet could really come in to the Bay of Bengal and facilitate and help Pakistan, Indian Army had completed the operations, and Bangladesh, I beg your pardon, East Pakistan was well within our hands, totally occupied by us.
This was the war zone in 1971, right? And I mean, the facts that you mentioned, I have never even read them anywhere before. So thank you so much that you have mentioned the facts, because these are the facts that are really basics, and we should know the basic foundation of everything that has been started from the very beginning of when the two nation theory occurred. So now I would want you to tell me about the Kargil War. What really happened and were we really caught off the guard?
See, in the high altitude areas, which are 12 months having snowfall and heavy snowfall, naturally during the winter time, the snowfall is more intense, and even to remain living over there without these creature comforts like heaters and proper buildings and houses is what we called at that time untenable. Not possible to live there during the winter timing. So it is a tacit understanding from both sides that during the winter time they also vacate those posts from their side, and India also vacates the posts from this side. And when the winter intensity reduces and summer is about to come, again both the countries go and occupy their forces over there. But this time in 1999 or 98, Indian troops withdrew. The Pakistanis quietly came and occupied our areas also. And yes, you can call this an intelligence failure. And the intelligence information came to us later through the help of a local villagers who continue living in their areas, that the Pakistanis have occupied some of our posts. And so based on that, the entire Operation Kargil happened, where, as everybody knows, the Indian troops had to go back and fight. Fighting here is very difficult. Normally when you attack a defense position, you have a ratio of 3:1. If the defender is one man, then there are 3 people required to capture him, because he's got his own defenses to protect him. मोर्चे में बैठा हुआ है, ऊपर बंकर का बना हुआ है, और जो हमला कर रहा है उसके ऊपर वो तो खुला आ रहा है, तो he has to be ratio of 3:1. So mountains के अंदर 3:1 का रेशियो नहीं चलता है. माउंटेन में रेशियो ज़्यादा होता है, कभी कभी 8:1, 7:1, कोई हार्ड एंड फास्ट नहीं है. कारगिल ऑपरेशंस में हम लोगों ने शायद 10:1 और 15:1 के इस्तेमाल करके, एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ लूजिंग आउट ऑन कैजुअलिटीज, गोलियां बरस रही हैं, हमारे बहादुरों ने गोलियों के बरसात के बीच में से जाके कब्जा किया है. तभी इतने सारे परमवीर चक्र, महावीर चक्र इतने सारे निकल आए थे हमारे वहाँ पे कारगिल वॉर में. और वहाँ की जो बैटल थी, कारगिल की जो बैटल थी, बिकॉज ऑफ आइसोलेशन, छोटे छोटे पहाड़ियाँ हैं, बटालियन को जाने का रास्ता नहीं है, एक एक करके आदमी जाता है वहाँ पे, एक एक करके गोली मारते जाओ. रात के टाइम गए और द पाथ इज सो नैरो, द ट्रैक्स आर सो नैरो दैट मोर देन लार्ज बॉडी कैन नॉट गो. सो द अटैक्स वर ऑल एट कंपनी लेवल और half a company level or platoon level. Battalion levels went, yes, but the attack on those particular individual features was at company level, followed by another company, followed by another company. That's how Kargil was eventually won by us.
That's very great. When you were speaking of the great Kargil War that happened, आपने कहीं ना कहीं ऑपरेशंस पे टच करने की कोशिश की है कि कैसे प्रेप करती है आर्मी इतने हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे. तो बिहाइंड द सीन्स क्या होते हैं, आप थोड़ा और ब्रीफ करके बताओगे कि कैसे सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट डिसाइडेड होती है, इतने हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पे क्या खाया जाएगा, आर्मी कैसे सर्वाइव करेगी, यूनिफॉर्म्स का स्ट्रक्चर, कितने आर्मीज़ की वहाँ पे ज़रूरत है पर्टिकुलर ऑपरेशन पे डिप्लॉय किए गए हैं, इस पर आप कुछ बताओगे सर?
देखिए, इंडियन आर्मी को एक्सपीरियंस मिल गया था इसके बारे में इन 1962 जब चाइना के साथ लड़ाई हुई थी. इंडिया वॉज इल प्रिपेयर्ड. यहाँ तक को मेरे को याद है कि हमारे जवानों के पास पहनने के लिए गर्म कपड़े भी नहीं थे. और मेरे को उस टाइम भी याद है, आर्मी के जो वाइव्स हैं, ऑफिसर्स की जो वाइव्स और जवानों की जो वाइव्स जो यहाँ पीस टाइम्स में बैठी थी, उनको रिक्वेस्ट किया गया था कि आप लोग निटिंग करो, गर्म स्वेटर्स ग्रीन कलर के, जाके हम आगे हमारे जवानों को भेजो. इतनी हमारी पुअर प्रिपरेशन थी कि हमारे पास वो एक्सट्रीम कोल्ड क्लाइमेट के लिए क्लोथिंग भी नहीं था. हमारे वेपन्स वहाँ नहीं चल रहे थे क्योंकि वो बर्फ़ में वेपन्स फ्रीज हो जा रहे थे, वो स्मूथली नहीं फायर कर रहे थे, उनमें भी रुकावट आ रही थी बार बार. सो दैट वाज आवर लेसन लर्न ड्यूरिंग द 1962 वॉर. उसके बाद स्लोली प्रिपरेशन शुरू हो गई, इक्विपमेंट आ गया, स्नो बूट्स आ गए, एक्सट्रीम कोल्ड क्लाइमेट की क्लोथिंग आ गई. So the preparation starts like that. So the army is today prepared for fighting in high altitude, in jungle, amphibious plains, desert, everywhere. Now the army is prepared, these armed forces are prepared to fight everywhere, because over the years the Indian armed forces have matured, and now we have realized the importance of the armed forces. So money is also being spent on the armed forces accordingly. So for such an operation like you saw in Kargil, the pre-planning has to be done intensely. Firstly, you have to be properly equipped in terms of clothing, weapons, ammunition, etc. Then the fighting is going to happen at high altitude. Your provisions and your stores has to reach over there. So you have to arrange for ponies, porters, helicopters, areas where this can be dumped and kept to be used. That includes ammunition also. Ammunition is heavy. So again, logistics preparation happens to stage all these necessities at various places, starting right from say Delhi, starting from the country we are importing that stuff from. Wahan se import has to come. It comes into India, into a depot, depending upon the equipment. That equipment is then sent up ahead, staging, say to Srinagar. From Srinagar it will go up to say Dras.
This is how supply chain management follows.
Yes, and there are various means of doing it. Today we are rich enough to use aircraft for this. We've got huge aircraft that help us in this. When conveyance of troops, conveyance of equipment. Food. It's a very intense area, the cold. Medical authorities have suggested and advised that we have to go for a very extreme protein diet. So the diet that is given then, survival rations which we get over here in the plains is things like shakarpara or puri aloo. Over there it is badams, dry fruit, chocolates. Yes. So as a survival ration, otherwise you should have your regular meal. Then India is diverse. We've got troops from Punjab, we've got troops from Bihar, from southern states of India, Madras, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. People down south, they want their rice. People up north, they want atta.
The diversity and
diversity
the
is there. So now these, and you cannot say that, okay, for the next 1 month, only North Indian troops will fight. You will have troops from Madras regiment, you'll have troops from Punjab regiment. So both these things, what the troops like, have to be made available to them. So you have to have a variety. So with this thought and with this experience behind us, planning was done with utmost care and exceedingly well planned. And that is the logistics nightmare that a person has to face over there, which we accomplished very beautifully. Now, besides the logistics preparation, the most important thing besides the logistics preparation is the operations preparation. That is, the men have to learn, train and practice how to fight at that extreme cold climate and at that high altitude where oxygen is also lacking. So if you have ever been to a high altitude place which is around 10,000, 12,000 feet above mean sea level, you will experience a lack of oxygen in your breathing. You will go out of breath. If you start running, you will really start getting palpitations because of lack of oxygen inside your body. So troops have to be acclimatized. They have to be taken up gradually. They'll go up to a height of say 8,000. They'll stay and do certain exercises at that, and the next staging will be at 12,000 and so on. So they have to be trained to fight over there. Now with Kargil already having been cruised upon, so there was very little time for this. So this was all done in a telescopic manner so that the troops were fit enough to fight into that area. This is the most vital aspect of training and of preparation for a fight like what happened in Kargil.
But sir, what do you think if something is happening? I mean, an attack which is already pre-planned but is not informed to Indian Army. How will they respond to that? How do Indian Army respond to those attacks?
You are trying to say that we shouldn't get caught on surprise, by surprises. All right, so now you see the state of preparation and operational preparedness is quite intense. This attack that came to Pahalgam was an attack on the army. It is an attack on innocent civilians. Where I told you in the previous podcast, it is a failure of intelligence in terms of various levels of intelligence. If the army is attacked anywhere, there are people there to see the attack, receive the attack and beat back the attack. Our level of preparedness is intense. You saw it yourself during this Operation Sindoor, that the moment some missiles or drones came to attack into us, our S-400 air defense scheme detected it and destroyed it. So we are prepared all the time. With stores, with rations, with ammunition, with troops, all there ready.
Get set, go.
Including in the high altitude areas, when the roads and the tracks get blocked, there is something known as advanced winter stocking. So in the summer, rations and ammunition is stocked at the posts during summer, for the summer as well as for the winter, when this stocking process will not happen. So double ration, double ammunition, all that is kept beforehand. Medical, all that is kept beforehand.
I also wanted to discuss about what do you think, what are the patterns that according to you, you have observed on Pakistan engaging wars?
Pattern of war. Firstly, they are always wanting to do surprise attacks. They did in 47, 48, they did in 65. Okay? 71, we were prepared. That is why we had a totally overwhelming victory over Pakistan. Now, Pulwama was not an attack onto the army as such. It was a terrorist attack, which is always going to be without any warning. So Pakistan, see, you achieve surprise and half the battle is won. Yeah. If you recollect how the Japanese attacked the Americans the first time during Second World War, Pearl Harbor was attacked. Nobody had a clue about it. Entire Pearl Harbor with so many ships were destroyed over there. So Pakistan is following these tactics. Pakistan has also been known earlier to have very strong surveillance capabilities so that they avoid getting surprised. India has now come a long way since then.
Sir, आप बताओ कि according to you, in your viewpoint, how has terrorism started? What was the mindset of Pakistan after the two nation theory started by Muhammad Ali Jinnah? Terrorism started. Was the point of Kashmir that raised the concern and led them to start terrorism, or what is it?
Kashmir is the nerve point. Pakistan wanted and wants Kashmir from the time of 14th of August 1947, when Pakistan got its independence. They wanted Kashmir. So the first thing they did was sending raiders across, which was not terrorism. That was like a war, but they showed that the war is being fought not by the Pakistani soldiers, but by some civilians, which included a lot of Pathans in that lot. Then in 65 war, they sent raiders across, which crossed the border and started infusing in the local populace with volatile ideas about separation for Kashmir. Again, it was not really terrorism as such. In the 1971 war, when Pakistan was hugely humiliated and the world was shocked to see that how India has been so strong and powerfully defeated Pakistan, is when they took oaths. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Ziaul Haq, they have promised that we will bleed India for 1,000 years. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said that, and then Ziaul Haq said India will get 1,000 cuts. Okay, so it is from them there that the idea of bleeding India 1,000 cuts or waging a low intensity conflict for a long period of time to drain India's economy and finish India this way, that this idea would have perhaps come to them at that time. And thereafter, they have built up on that, they have prepared for that, they have created a lot of groups, extremist groups. They have finally become very active in that during the late 80s and early 90s. It is in 1991, I think, recollect, that really the first open terrorist activity happened when a school bus, I don't recollect really, but a bunch of innocent civilians was attacked by terrorists. That is where terrorism has started. And from then till now, they've become more and more desperate. In between, a Kargil came, Pulwama came, Pahalgam came, Uri came, Pathankot. All these things have come under the activities of terrorist activities. The idea being to give India 1,000 cuts.
I mean, this sounds so brutal, and so I would say this is not what should be done. And in my opinion, terrorism is something which is just a mindset, because they have this thing in their minds that मुझे कश्मीर चाहिए. अगर वो कश्मीर लेंगे तो वो धीरे धीरे करके सब कैप्चर करने की कोशिश करेंगे, जो अच्छी बात नहीं है. पार्टीशन के टाइम पे व्हेन इट इज़ ऑलरेडी पार्टेड कि क्या आपका है क्या इंडिया का है, ये माइंडसेट जो उनके अंदर आ चुका है कि कश्मीर हमारा है, आज से नहीं कब से है, कितना पुराना है. ये माइंडसेट जितनी जल्दी हो सके पाकिस्तान ख़त्म कर दे, तो ये सब जो वॉर्स हैं, ये जो हिस्ट्री बार बार उठाई जाती है, डिस्कस की जाती है, जिसका कोई सेंस नहीं बनता है, क्योंकि पास्ट का जो है उसको वहीं पे छोड़ देना चाहिए.
I do not know when Pakistan will learn this. If they stop wasting money on terrorism and in fact put it down for their own development, it will make a huge difference. Pakistan will not be where it is now. They have spent millions and millions of dollars on terrorism. They have earned a bad name in the world. Pakistanis are not so liked in the world, and all is because of their involvement in terrorism, and their economy is only going into this or into the pockets of the Pakistan army.
They don't have anything. When their economy is deteriorating, they just want to change the mindset of their people. एकदम उनको चेंज करवा देना है कि अच्छा एकदम तहलका मचा दिया है पूरे अपने मुल्क में, कि क्योंकि उनके पास कुछ ऑफ़र करने को नहीं है, ना अपने बेटियों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कुछ है, ना स्किल करने के लिए अपने आर्म फोर्सेस को उनके पास कुछ है. तो वो कहीं ना कहीं ये वॉर छेड़ करके कश्मीर को पकड़ के जो बैठ गए हैं वो और पीछे जाते जा रहे हैं, विच आई थिंक अब.
And that is basically because they are selecting the wrong leader. I remember Imran Khan, when he was up over there, he said कि ना तो मैंने आपके खिलाफ कश्मीर के बारे में कुछ मारपीट की है ना आपने, जिसने की है वो ऊपर जा चुके हैं, वो हमसे 50 साल उम्र में ज़्यादा है, वो जा चुके हैं। मेरे को उस लड़ाई को लेके नहीं पकड़ना है अभी। सो आई थॉट दैट नाउ हियर इज वन मैन हु परहैप्स will now wean away from this wastage of money and
Yeah,
put that money to
absolutely.
more sensible things.
Absolutely.
And उसी को उठा के जेल में डाल रखा है इन्होंने. So now these are the people who are radicals again. The present army chief is a straight example. He is an ardent follower of Muhammad Ali Jinnah as well as Ziaul Haq. वो तो उनका चेला है.
Which will lead them to nowhere. Let's see, and I hope we will discuss a lot more about the history of India in other podcasts. And as usual, it is always a pleasure speaking to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Janvi.